And then there's like the basic thing where, like, if you're a Democrat and Republicans won't even hang up a plaque for January 6th, why would you do this for them? That's what someone said to me.
Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Friday, TGIF, January 23rd, 2026. All right, let's get in the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, we got some news. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy wants an IndyCar race on Capitol Hill to celebrate America's 250. You heard that right. Number two, we've got a leadership victory, an inside look at how the funding bills got done. And number three, what's next on healthcare. All right, Jake, let's get into it. We are breaking news this morning that Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is pushing to host an IndyCar race on the National Mall in August as part of the America 250 celebration, according to multiple sources familiar with the effort. This is a pretty stunning, of all the things that was on my bingo card for this week, this news was not on it, Jake.
You know, Anna, we were just talking the other day about what's going to be happening for the America 250 situation during an internal staff meeting and wondering what kind of celebrations they would have. And I don't remember you saying maybe there will be an IndyCar race throughout the National Mall. So where are you on this, Anna? It's actually become a serious issue for the leadership. So the race would start at the Supreme Court, cover a full lap around the National Mall, including the Lincoln Memorial. Pit Row would be by the Lincoln Memorial's reflecting pool, and organizers are targeting an August 21st date for this event. Congress needs to approve a bill to make this happen. Why? The reason it was explained to me by a lot of people is that there's a ban on advertising on Capitol grounds. And these cars have lots of advertisements on them. And I assume there's other advertising stipulations in the IndyCar circuit, which I'm not terribly familiar with. I like F1 enough to watch it once in a while. I've watched the Netflix thing, but IndyCar is not my bag.
It might be. It might become your bag.
It's not my bag.
If this moves forward. The kind of crazy part here is the Trump administration would need Democrats on this. Like, why? You talk to Democrats, why would they give them this? There's no reason for it. Imagine the wear and tear. The Capitol complex has a lot of challenges, policing issues, all kinds of things. And this would add a huge potential strain on that.
Yeah. The Democrats are worried about a bunch. Number one, Capitol Police is stretched. We've covered this, probably not as much as we should, to be honest with you. But Capitol Police is stretched extremely, extremely thin, especially, Anna, during August of a campaign year when they have to have more people out because of leadership, travel, and just a lot of other things. Plus, remember, there's more people have security problems than they have in the past. So that's one thing. The roads, as you say, I'm not familiar with the strain an IndyCar race would bring on roads, surface roads around the district, but I imagine it's not insignificant. And then there's the basic thing where, if you're a Democrat and Republicans won't even hang up a plaque for January 6th, why would you do this for them? That's what someone said to me. Let me just say, this has reached the Mike Johnson, Hakeem Jeffries, John Thune, and Chuck Schumer level. It has. I spoke to them, to the offices last night when I was trying to confirm this. And Democrats just do not, it doesn't sound like it's going to happen, but it is interesting enough of an issue that we thought, well, this is really, we should write about this. And Brez didn't even believe it was true. He's like, there's no way this could be true. And I was like, I don't know, man. Sounds like it's true from my reporting. And then he finally realized it is indeed true.
Well, uphill climb for Mr. Duffy and his office to make the case to Capitol Hill, particularly Democrats, that this is where they should be spending time, money, and effort. We'll have to see where it nets out.
Yes.
We will be covering this. You didn't know you were going to be an IndyCar race reporter, Jake.
I always say, Anna, there's a lot of opportunity in sports media, sports journalism, and I was a sports reporter in my youth in college, and I wanted to always be a sports reporter. Jim Van Dyke crushed that dream for me.
I guess this worked out pretty well for you, sticking around politics.
I guess so, yeah.
All right, Jake, let's talk about the number 2 story of the morning. On November 12th, the longest shutdown shutdown in U.S. history ended in a tidal wave of bitter recriminations and finger-pointing, we write. Lawmakers then set up another funding deadline on January 30th, and many predicted another shutdown was possible, if not likely or certainly. A continuing resolution to just keep the lights on, but that did not happen in the House this week. There was a lot of progress, and it looks as though we are moving towards the Senate passing actual appropriations bills.
We have been incredibly critical of the leadership at a lot of different turns this Congress, and it's time to give them some props. This is not the first time that the leadership and that the House and Senate will have passed 12 appropriations bills. It's happened in the past, but this is an incredible victory for the leadership. I mean, let's just be honest. If you asked me on November 12th if Congress was going to get 12 appropriations bills done on the floor without a CR, I would have said, no, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. But Mike Johnson and facilitated an environment and got this done. It wasn't just Johnson. It was Hakeem Jeffries. And there's some, it's interesting. There's some, I don't know about disagreement. There's different points of view about who really deserves the credit here and why this happened. I mean, Johnson's team, rightfully so, is taking a touchdown dance in the end zone, and they deserve it. This was Johnson's calling card when he first became speaker. No more CRs, no more this. No, we're going to do regular order, all of that stuff. We were skeptical at the time, and every speaker says they want to do regular order, but Johnson is the one. Johnson got this done. That's number one. Number two, the House Democratic leadership and the Senate Democratic leadership say, yeah, it's really easy to do 12 appropriations bills if you drop your insistence on partisan policies and you come our way on a lot of different issues. And fair enough. I think that did happen in many places. And I think that's obviously there's a give and take everywhere, but it was in everyone's interest here to get this done. I mean, it was Johnson with regular order and getting rid of omnibus spending bills and earmarks, and Jeffries CRs are bad for Democrats because it gives the administration more leeway and it doesn't update policies and all of that stuff. So, it is a big win for the leadership.
Rare day when both Democrats and Republicans can look to something and champion their wins. And I would say this, a massive win for Congress, right? We've talked so much on this podcast about Congress abdicating responsibility or letting the kind of administration run roughshod when it comes to foreign policy and a lot of different things. This was a win. I just think it's worth noting for the appropriators, right? Relevancy, kind of post-Doge and OMB's Russ vote. I mean, this showcases that they matter in a way that I think a lot of people questioned if that was true or not anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And Brez wrote, and I think this is right, this was a critical moment for the 160-year-old Appropriations Committee. It just was. I mean, they had to claw back some power.
All right, let's go to the number 3 story of the morning. What is happening on healthcare with the deal to revive the enhanced Obamacare subsidies hopelessly out of reach? Congress is beginning to turn the page. Interesting to see this, right? We've talked about this bipartisan group and the fits and starts, and we've had members of the committee. We had Tim Kaine on Flyout Day last week, and he was, I think, bearish that any kind of big package gets through. We continue to see that this week, but now you're starting to see some movement here where lawmakers are taking narrow healthcare wins when they can get them.
Yes, and that shows that there's not going to be a big package.
Right.
Because if you had a bunch of stuff, a bunch of candy, you'd give it out later on, right? And I think that does reflect the fact that the Obamacare talks are going nowhere. Combine that with President Trump putting out his own healthcare plan and saying all this other different stuff that he wants to do on healthcare. It's a sign. And Anna, I want to say this. In the president's schedule today, it does say at 5:30 p.m., the president will be participating in policy time. I don't know what policy time entails. It's always policy time at Punchbowl News.
5 p.m. on a Friday. Just really going to dig in.
5:30,
going to dig in on what's happening.
If he was smart, what he would do is get a subscription to the vaults, to tech, to defense, and just dig into our policy coverage, and he could be smarter on all the policies he needs to be smart on.
Jake Sherman with the advertisement, folks. I'm going to take one point of privilege here before we let you go this Friday. We had a great Flyout Day with Democratic Caucus Chair Pete Aguilar yesterday, Jake, talking about all things. He is an appropriator, and it folds really dovetail well into our earlier conversation, but talking about his plans for leadership, the decision to stay in the House, not run for California statewide, a really compelling conversation, and it is in your feed, so I hope you all listen to that as well.
Also link to the newsletter, Anna, so please read the newsletter.
There you go. You can check that out at punchbowl.news. Have a great day. Stay safe and stay warm this weekend if the snow actually happens.